There's really not a whole lot to not love about a good old wood stove. And the wood stove that we have here is a Vigilant Vermont castings. It's a 1977. And it's really made a huge difference in heating our old farmhouse. It's just so nice on these really cold winter days to have this thing just rolling. When I first bought the stove, the front handle is a removable handle to open up this door, and it got wedged in there, and parts of it were actually broken when I first got it, and I didn't know that. And of course, the part that I am currently talking about is right here. This handle was actually broken when I first got this stove. And I didn't know much about that at all. I didn't know that you had removable handles. So anyways, we were using a vice grips and trying to use that so that we could still open the front door. The previous owner did talk to me a little bit about it and said that he never really used the front door. All he did was top load, and that's all he worried about. So anyways, I wanted to get a good handle, because what had happened is I couldn't open the front door and utilize loading from the front. And the other thing is that when I tried to use it, I ended up completely shearing off any way to open this at all. And when I did that, the back fell off too, that holds that door tight to the actual stove. And what ended up happening there then is there was no air seal on that front door. So we were burning extremely hot on the stove. We were burning so much more wood than what we needed to burn, and just flying through the wood here. And actually, it turned out to be a fairly dangerous deal. I wrapped some wire around it for a couple of days. Basically I wrapped the wire around it just to keep it shut so we could still make the stove usable. But that turned out to be kind of a risky deal, and I think what I should have ultimately done is just shut her down and let the propane take over for the couple of days while I was waiting for the parts. So we got the parts in, and I installed the stove handle. And what I want to go over today is how I installed that stove handle. One thing is basically that the handle parts that were left with the stove when I got it essentially got welded in there. And so I had to drill. It was a long deal. I had to drill it all out. And that's the part that I want to show here, is how I drilled that out. And you just have to be so careful that you don't waller out that hole, that you still have a nice clean hole when you're done. And it just worked out really well. Another thing I wanted to kind of go over was the way that I installed this handle. I didn't realize until now that I installed it completely upside down. This normally would be facing down, and your removable handle would just drop out. I'm gonna leave it this way because the Vermont castings removable handle, you flip that around and it would be like this, and then you would turn it like this to open the door. I have it like this, and I turn it like this to open the door. When it's in the locked in position, when this handle and it would be normally up like this drops out, and I've already busted the nice little part. Now I'm gonna make a new handle part, but I felt like, that's kind of crazy to have it down and it just fell out and it busted my handle. So now I have it straight up and down. The problem is you cannot leave, when it's like this, you have the tendency to be able to just leave that handle in there. Then you got a problem. This is going to heat up like crazy and get hot. So I felt like either way, it wasn't really the best with the removable handle. So I'm going to leave mine backwards. I'm going to leave it up and down, where you should have it down like this and be able to just drop out, so that you can, the best part of that is you can never leave this removable handle in there, because it's not ever going to stick in there. It's going to always fall out. And I'm sure that that's why from the manufacturer this is installed the other direction. So I just wanted to kind of make that disclaimer before we got into this video. But if you're looking for an old wood stove and you find one of these 1977s out there, you know, they're a decent stove. There's no glass on the door on this particular one. It's as plain Jane as it gets, but boy, she really cranks out the heat, and seems like it does a really decent job for our little farmhouse. So without further ado, I want to go over this fix with you and hope that this helps anybody out there that's struggling with their front handle removal and replacement. And the thing is this is the part, this sticks out the door, this goes inside, and then you have this on there, I think like this, and this pushes it up, and this is a set screw. When you close this and latch that door, this is going to then set how tight that fits to the doors. I ordered it from, I think, Stove Parts for Less online. They're not giving, they don't even know I make videos, but anyways, they sent it really quick. So I guess if you need stove parts for any stove, I mean, they do pellet stove, wood stove, anything, they were actually really quick. And this whole little setup here with this, with the handle, the removable handle so it doesn't get hot, and this, it was, that whole part, that whole setup that you see right there is about $100. First of all, I'm just gonna break this wire and go from there. Now we've had a fire. We've been heating our house. Obviously, we've been heating our house because it's just such cold temperatures that I just didn't want to just shut it down. Okay, so here's the part. It's gonna go in here, right in here, and it looks like, yes, that this is probably gonna work. Just looking at it, it's about the same. I can see the other piece in there, and it's gonna actually fit. So that's the first thing to look at. Okay, so we actually brought the door into the shop here and put it in the vise. Now this door is an old school door. It's got no glass or nothing like that, and it's in our basement. Nobody sees it, so I'm not being really super careful like you normally would, I think. What I ended up having to do is drill through here, and I think you want to be really careful not to wallow out this hole, keep it round. So anyways, you can see it looks pretty good on the inside. This is going to be the inside of the door to the fireplace. This is the notch, the stop notch on that, and I'll show you how that works. On this side, you can see it's not quite as nice, and I'm not exactly sure why, but the when I took the old one that broke on both sides off, it was basically welded to the door, which is why it broke, and so I had to chisel that off. That's why that side looks like it does. Here is the new handle and parts, and because of the way it is, you're gonna have to bring it There, it did go through, but I had to pull pretty good on that. So now you want to see how this goes flat part. It's a, you know, goes on the flat part, and it just goes right nice on there. That part's easy. Just put it on there like that. I did put one washer. Like I said, I'm going to have this pointed up. I do have a washer in there. I'm not sure if that's needed or not. This is my first time around on something like this, but it looks to me like if I do that, I can tighten this side a little bit better, and then it'll lock it in place. This part goes on to here like that. So I've got this part that clasps to the door, and then I've got the door handle here. This part here doesn't move because of a set screw right here. I've got a set screw right here. I'm going to get that set. That'll keep that from getting pushed into the door, so that we always have just a little bit of play here, right here, just a little bit of play, so that it doesn't get so tight, because otherwise everything's going to get so tight when it gets hot that I'm going to be in the same predicament that I was in before, and I'm not going to be able to move my handle. Now we're going to set that so that that does not move, and we're going to make sure we're pushed in here good and get this set. Okay, that's set good. Now we've got this nut that goes right here to hold that in place, and this nut will go all the way up and sit right against that part, and that'll hold it in place good. We've got a little play here, but I think that's okay as it heats up and does all the things it does when it heats up. This is in the right spot. It works. All right, it hits our stop, and then we'll adjust the screw right here as to how close we want it to, how tight this door needs to be in with the fireplace. I've got the door back on, and the handle is in place, but now there is a set screw here, and it's got a Allen head, so you can turn it there, and then the screw. So once you are set, you screw that into place. So that is going to make the difference on what kind of tension you have from your door to your actual stove, so that you are nice and tight with, because I want to make sure that when I am locked here, that this door is in fact nice and tight to the stove. So we're going to come into here and we're going to get that adjusted. This here is the set screw that we are adjusting, and basically we want it so that when you can tell when we work the handle, it comes in and it comes tight. So it's loose. Okay, now we're still loose, and then there you can see it pulled in. Do you see that difference? It pulled in, and then as we come all the way to the top, we're tight. We're nice and tight there. That door isn't going anywhere. And what we need to do now is tighten this nut right here to make sure that that does not move. We're just going to tighten this up. Okay, that's nice and tight, and we're good to go. These we got tight in the shop. This whole thing is all tight, set screw and everything. We did all that in the shop. We're good and tight. This is the only one we left for when we actually got to the stove, just to make sure that that is in fact the right placement. And we know it's the right placement because we can still open and close it.
and as we close it, you can see it pull that door right in and lock. But I'm just going to be able to drop that in there, move it off to the side, open the door now, front load it, whatever, load it, and it's user friendly, far more user friendly with that removable handle. That's a big deal, but we just never had it. We didn't even know about it really until I did some research on that. So like I said, normally I think this part here would be straight down so that you wouldn't have stuff getting in there, but I'm gonna run it like this and just see how it goes and go from there. Hey, thanks for watching. This is 20 Acre Farms with our Vigilant Vermont casting stove. This thing does a really good job of heating our house. We're going to go over the heating system part of this and how our house actually utilizes it in a later video. So be looking for that video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.